Trang Nova a little bit.
Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hi there, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm so excited about this event. We have such a special night planned for you. We have 8 amazing, trailblazing women experts who are here to share their best advice in the areas of career, health, life, love, and business. It's so easy to get caught up in just your day to day, and sometimes you end up being like uninspired, and you sometimes you just need a little nudge or something just to like reinvigorate you, or maybe there's something on your mind that you've been hoping to do one day and you have no one to ask. So I think this is going to be an amazing night for you. My name is Angela Watley. I am a hypnotist, NLP success coach, and author. And I am so excited because I think this is a great opportunity to for you guys to learn and for you guys to partake in such an amazing experience. So the way we're going to do this is it's designed for busy women, just like the podcast, right? So we're going to have each woman expert give her best advice in her category. And then she's going to share a bonus if she has a bonus to share. And then at the end of that, we're going to take questions from the audience. So if you have any kind of aha moment, when you hear something, feel free to pop it in the chat because you might not be like the only one who has that aha moment. And if you have any questions, for us at the end, please, make sure you put them in the chat along the way. And if you want to specify for a particular speaker, then specify that in the question. If not, we'll just think it's for like the general panel, right? So with that said, I'm so excited. This is going to be awesome. And I really hope you hear something that just might, make a change in your life. So with that said, we're going to get started. First up is going to be Lisa David Olson, and we're going to put her slide up. Hi, Lisa. Welcome. Oh, you're on mute. Sorry, I can't hear you. So Lisa is an expert in life and business. She helps new speakers find the essence of their valuable message worth delivering and can share top-notch information on getting to the TEDx stage and or starting their book. She's a speaker, speaker trainer, improv ninja, multi-TEDx speaker, author, and podcaster, and I actually could go on and on. We just had to make everything fit in this small space. So Lisa, what's the best advice you can share in life and business?
The first piece of advice is unmute when you're the first speaker. How about that? So what I said was, thank you, Angela, for gathering all these fantastic bodies around the screen. Thank you so much. Nice to see everyone. The life and business. So I think there's no such thing as work-life balance. All right. If you think you're going to find that, stop it. But what you can do is try to do what feeds your soul. And one of the things I've learned that helps my business and my life is supporting others. So the support of those like-minded entrepreneurs, or maybe you're an author, support other authors, get on their social media. Don't just like a post, give it a love, add a comment, get in LinkedIn, give them a recommendation, give some support that costs you nothing. And instead of scrolling through TikTok, as we're all guilty, give some support, some comments, some pictures, some love, because it comes back. You just don't know where you're going to network. And that will help, because if you're just clicking like or only lurking, as we are known to do, let's support each other, because that also changes the algorithm of all of your feeds, whether it's Instagram or Facebook is my favorite one. And so make sure you're doing that. Supporting each other really matters. And that and also I want you to explore. So I'm going to ask everyone to think of what you could explore. Is it go out in your yard barefoot, like my good friend Lori that joined us here? I know she's outside barefoot every night. Are you going to go and explore and look at things from a child's level, from your cat or dog's level? Look at things differently. Let your mind be free. Do some of that nature exploring to just settle and ground yourself. So it's not all about social media, okay? So there's that kind of balance. So we want to reconnect with ourselves as much as with others. So it's not all about a sale, it's about connection. My platform is humor and the connectivity of humor. And if anybody wants to reach out, I have the bonus slide. I'm trying to stay within time here, Angela. Am I doing 4 minutes? Yes.
Yeah, you're actually doing great.
I'm always mindful of the time. And if anybody does want to connect to learn more about speaking, I love to work with brand new speakers, help you find your message. I'm a professional nag. I will help you get your book started. And if you want to do a one-on-one, learn more about the TEDx stage, I'm about to do my third one. I'm very excited about that. There is kind of a pathway to get there. I can teach you what I know. And if you want to do a one-on-one with me, I will do one a 1 hour for $200, and you will get the PDF booklet, Launch Your Speaking Career, for free. And don't be fooled, you don't have to be a speaker to want this booklet. It's also about connecting with your business and reaching out to people. And I have all different ways, even including snail mail, because hardly anyone does that. So thank you so much, and I will watch for any questions in the comments. Thank you again for including me amongst these fantastic speakers tonight, and thanks to everyone who tuned in, because you're pretty smart.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. And you know what? Sometimes nag is a good thing, right? To help us propel, to our next level. So
Who's that?
Awesome. So next up, we have Tiffany Obeng. Tiffany, if you could come to the stage. Hi, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me and all of the wonderful speakers.
So Tiffany is an expert in, we're going to bring her slide up in a moment. Business. She's an expert in lots of things, but I had to specify just for this this summit, her expertise is business. So she's a principal author and owner of Sugar Cookie Books, publishing imprint, and she created over 20 inspirational and educational children's books featuring Black children and families. And what's so awesome, I just have to add this, is when I first created her site, I had information that was like maybe 6 months ago, and the number of books was like, I don't know, it was smaller. And she was like, no, you need to update. It's now over 20. So it's pretty amazing. So thank you for being here, Tiffany. What's the best advice you can share when it comes to business?
Hey, y'all. Of course, right when I'm about to speak, the family just comes busting in, but I'll shoo them away. All right. So the best advice that I will provide is that business success is not about perfection. It's about resilience. I'm going to say that again. Business success is not about perfection. It's about resilience. As a business owner, we're going to make mistakes. They're going to be big mistakes or small mistakes. These mistakes will likely be public because they're our business, and our business is something that other people can see. And therefore, they're going to be embarrassing. But to me, in my experience, what makes our mistakes embarrassing is because it shows that we're just human and that we're not perfect. For some reason, as business owners, we forget that we're also human, and therefore we're going to make mistakes. So of course, we should always strive to provide the best service and the best product. But what happens when, in doing so, we make a mistake? Our instinct may be to hide our mistake, ignore it, cover it up, or quit. And of course, we can do all of those things, but it's actually what we do after mistakes that makes the difference. After we throw our pity party, we have to shake it off. We have to get back up, and we have to be honest with a solution. We have to say, hey, I have this problem, or I made this mistake, and this is how I'm going to fix it. Even if the fix is financially expensive, you must fix it, and you have to do it quickly and with candor and with honesty, because resilience overcomes all mistakes and keeps us moving onward and upward toward business success. And I know that was probably only a minute, but that is my best advice.
I think that's great. I think that's great. And it's very like important for people to keep in mind, because it's so easy to get caught up and just take everything personally and let that just derail your plans and your goals.
Yes.
So awesome.
And I've made some mistakes. So I'm speaking from experience. I was so scared to admit a couple of times. If you heard my podcast segment, I talked about how I made a mistake or knew I wasn't feeling right about something, and then I was called out and I was so embarrassed and I was so hurt. But then after I shook it off, I moved forward, and it's been great. I've made mistakes since then, and it was financially expensive. I'm like, I'm a micro business. So fix this mistake. I thought it was going to ruin the relationship, but because I was honest, quick, and had a solution, it's continued our relationship. So resilience, our business success is based on resilience, not our perfection.
Love it. Thank you so much. So next up, we have Beth. We'll get her slide up here in a moment. Beth is a founder of Soulify Wellness. She's also appeared in major media publications such as the London Free Press, and she's a certified hypnotist like me, marriage coach, teacher of psychology, and Reiki energy practitioner. So Beth, thank you so much for being here. When it comes to love, what's the best advice you can share?
That is a great question, and thank you for having me. You know what? When it comes to marriages, relationships, when it comes to marriages in particular, 80% are unhappy. So there's a lot of us that could use some advice, and that's varying degrees. We're not saying all 80% are on the verge of divorce, but there's a lot of unhappy marriages. And so just a quick example, two of my past clients, we'll call one Betty. She'd been married 7 years. She'd had 4 kids under the age of 6. Her and her husband, they tried couples counseling. It went really well because they're very good talkers. They're good leaders. They're able to get along with the therapist. They had lots of good conversations. But what happened is they get home and a couple of weeks later, they'd fall back into the old path. They get into arguing, yelling, shutting down, feeling resentful because the wife was doing all the work she felt like around the house. And then I had this other client, Kara, and I'll tell you a little bit about her before I get into advice. Her husband cheated on her. They did therapy. Things got a lot better. Their communication was better. Things are better, but she was still plagued with like these obsessive thoughts. So although they did these interventions, they still were struggling. And so when it comes to advice, there's new evidence out there to show that there's different ways to approach your relationships. And the one that I would suggest, it's rooted in neuroscience and psychology, which is so powerful. All these women had one more try in them. They're like, I'm not done, but they were super on the verge of divorce. And so what happened was they used a strategy called transforming yourself to transform your relationship. One person has the power to transform a marriage. And the key for this is that when one partner can really get to the root of a lot of the issues that are driving those surface things, like laundry on the floor, bothering you, crumbs on the counter, snarky remarks that really trigger another partner, when you can get to the root of that by tackling what I call the belief. So if the belief was you hear your partner say something and it triggers you to think, I'm not enough, or I'm just not being heard. So you're really angry, like, he doesn't hear me, she doesn't hear me, which then creates the thought, she doesn't care about me, he doesn't care about me. So all of a sudden we have this belief that I'm not enough, I'm never heard, to the thought of, what's the point of trying? He doesn't care about me anyway. And so what happens is we get this belief, we get that thought that he doesn't care about me or she doesn't care about me anyway, which then drives a behavior of possibly arguing, which then drives a behavior of constant arguments, and it's a big cycle. So how do we interrupt this? There's the advice. We need to get to the root of that belief, the belief that I'm not enough or I'm never heard. And when we can start to snip that, that'll create a new thought, which will create a new emotion, which will then create a new habit. And so it's mind-blowing because we have the power to change our marriages, our relationships, not just necessarily love, but everything, if we can get curious with triggers. When you're triggered, we usually don't always know what the belief was, but we definitely feel the emotion. Our body is literally flooded with neurotransmitters. So people say, I'm flooded with the emotion of anger. It's a neurotransmitter that's being fired. And so just quickly, when it comes to brain science, it's so easy. We have a neuron, which is a thought. It fires saying, hey, I'm not happy here. It then travels down a neural pathway, which is an actual structure in our brain, which then fires the neurotransmitter, the emotion throughout our body. And so when we all know the brain, the plasticity of the brain is powerful. We have the power to change our life through thought alone. And this is how you can transform marriage and love, by starting to work on saving, healing, fixing relationships through looking at yourself, starting to notice the triggers that are happening. What's the emotion? And really, what's the belief? What are you holding on to? A life-changing thing for a lot of people is you own your own emotions. Your emotions are yours. That neurotransmitter fired a neural pathway, then fired a neuron on a neural pathway, fired a neurotransmitter in your body, flooded you with cortisol, stress. That is your emotion made in your body. People don't make us feel a certain way. We make ourselves feel that way. And so when you can take this ownership into your court and work on yourself to transform your relationships, it's mind-blowing, the things that'll show up in your life.
That was awesome.
There's my advice.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. Do you also have a bonus for everyone?
Oh, yeah, sure. So anyone who's listening that may be part of that 80% of the kind of unhappy category, I have a guide called 3 Ways to Save a Marriage, and you can go to www.freemarriageguide.com and you can grab your copy of that to get the 3 strategies.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So next up, we have Dionne Jones. Dionne Jones is our health expert tonight, and we'll get her slide up here in a second. She is a gerontologist, a social worker. Here we go. She's a personal trainer, health coach, and an author. Dionne, thank you for being here tonight. Where are you? There she is. Hi.
Hi, I was waiting for the official unmute.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so you're a health expert tonight. So when it comes to health, what's the best advice you can share?
The best advice I can share is start with the end in mind. And as a gerontologist, I say that because no one thinks when you're 5, 10, 15, all those bumps and bruises compound and we feel them in our 50s and 60s and etc. Not saying to live in a bubble, but think about how we treat our body across the lifespan, how we treat our mindset across the lifespan, and what we put in our bodies across the lifespan, because it is like a bank account. That compounding interest is either a great thing if it's money, but if it's injuries and trauma, we have to address those. So looking back in my 20s when I ran track and did all the jumping and all of that stuff, now I started feeling it when I got into my 40s and my 50s. And so I worked on retraining my brain, retraining my body, cleansing at a cellular level to start rejuvenating my body from the inside out. And so now I share, especially with the older members that I work with and I train. My oldest client is 95 and she still cuts her own grass. She still drives to class. She's phenomenal. She plays mahjong. She's trying to get me to learn. That's another lecture for another day. But it is because she decided to start moving. It's not aging. It's not about waiting till you're 65. So my best advice is definitely beginning with the end in mind. So if you have young children, just be mindful of that. Be mindful those chemicals and those snacks and everything that they're pushing on our children now, they turn into chronic diseases. And we're seeing it a lot earlier now. Children are getting, diseases that people usually don't present with until their 40s and 50s. So we have a lot of work to do individually and as a community, but I definitely say start with the end in mind. Let's age well.
That's awesome. That's a lot of wisdom. I think there are a lot of moms out there who don't even really think about it. You just see the TV commercials, right? And you just, okay, my kids will like the snack, and you just buy it. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, my grandmother was definitely, if it has a commercial, she would not buy it because she knew that it was being pushed on us for a reason.
Ooh,
So my husband always laughs at me in my he calls it a deprived childhood because we had wheat germ on our table and things like that. So my
awesome.
grandmother was vegetarian and vegan before that was even a word, but yes. So speaking of healthy and watching what you put in your body, I'd like for people to learn about a plant-based life, and it's not for everyone, but I say at least start with one day, like a meatless Monday. So I have a plant-based ebook that you can find at agewithvibrancy.com. It has recipes that you can start. If you are familiar with eating for your blood type, that's just another layer that you can add on to being plant-based, because yes, there are vegans that are not 100% well because they may be eating things that aren't great for their blood type. So for instance, I'm an O, I can't eat avocados, I can't eat lentils, and most vegan recipes, vegetarian recipes are chock full of things like that. So just be mindful of that. That's something else that you can explore. If you would like to reach out to me, I can definitely love to do a consultation to help you understand your body better, because there is no cookie cutter. There's no cookie cutter diet. There's no cookie cutter movement plan. It's up to you and what your body can take, what your mind can take, and what your spirit can take. So thank you so much for this opportunity to be with phenomenal women and to share the message of aging well, living well, loving well, and eating well.
I love that. Thank you so much, Dionne.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have Trang Nova. She's a life business expert for tonight. And she's another person who had like so many like credentials that I couldn't fit everything in the box. So we just like summed it up. Life, mindset, and business mentor for women. So thank you for being here, Trang.
Thank you for having me. It's a delight to be here.
Awesome. So when it comes to life and business, what's the best advice you can share?
The best advice that I can share for life and business is that change is the only constant. So we can create space to pivot, to evolve, to change in who we are and to how we show up in our business. And the reason why I'd like to share this is because I have gone through a career change. I've gone through starting a new business and then rebranding a couple of times. And so throughout this process, I have been petrified that if I pivoted, then I would be wasting everything that I had worked for in the last chapter of my life. especially because it's just so instilled in us from a young age that we marry our one career and our one business for life. It's like, what do you want to do when you grow up? It's assumed that's going to be one thing for life. But I want to share that pivoting and rebranding our business isn't just true to us and doesn't just feel good, but it actually aids in our business success. Because as we learn more about ourselves and as we learn more about the world, then we start to shift our values and our beliefs and how we show up. And when we align our business with that, especially for personal brands, and I am a personal brand. So if you're listening and if you have a personal brand, this is especially for you. When we align our business and our personal brands with ourselves through and through, then that just shines and that exudes conviction and authenticity, which is exactly what our audiences crave for. In this rapidly evolving world and society where there is more and more AI, and as we enter into, as Dan Priestley has coined it, the entrepreneurial revolution, there is more competition and there's a lot more noise than there used to be. So more than ever, it is actually more important and more crucial that we are in complete truth with who we are. So in our personal brands, in our businesses, we've got to allow ourselves the grace to listen to our heart and to evolve and to pivot and to rebrand as we feel it. It's not going to waste anything that we've worked for. It's not going to trouble our audience. It's only going to invite them in to see more of us. And it's only going to make them more loyal and more trusting of who we are and what we have to offer. So if there is a particular business idea or a thought that keeps popping up for you, whether it's over the last few months or even the last few years, if there's a particular thought or a direction that keeps coming up for you when you're in the shower or when you're in bed, then these are the signs that you should pursue that pivot and that new evolution. Because if that keeps coming up, it's on your heart and that's not going to disappear. It's true to you. So suppressing it or turning away, no matter how much you want to do that, it's only going to keep popping up and it's going to come up stronger, more frequent, and more intense each time. So listen and allow. You're allowed to do that and it's only going to work out for you.
I love that. Thank you so much.
So welcome. Yeah. So I thought that this would be the most kind of like intimate bonus for what I'm speaking about. If you're someone and you feel like you're at crossroads and you're not sure, like, should I take this path? Am I just getting distracted? Am I just chasing the next new shiny thing? Or is this true to me? If this is you, then I would encourage you to check out this free ebook, Uncover Your Purpose and Create Your Dream Life. This is the process that I personally used that ended my quarter life crisis when I was feeling so torn about whether I should continue with the career that I had finished my university master's on or start my new business. This is what gave me clarity. So I'd like to offer this and gift this to you.
I love it. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
That's awesome advice, because the worst thing you want to experience is regret. So when you feel that nudge, just like she said, just go for it. Just like trust. You don't want to have any regrets. You don't get the time back, right? So I love it. Yeah. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Trina Hill. Trina is a career expert. There we are. And we're going to put her slide up in a second. She has so much. She has so many credentials. Okay, so this is what we managed to fit in the box. She's SVP and technology leader for the consumer bank and treasury at a fintech, MBA in leadership and business administration. She provides mentorship to young women in STEM programs like Girls Who Code. And she's a founder of Tech Care, such an amazing platform. And it offers a psychologically safe environment for women of color. So Trina, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. Great tips from all the women thus far. You've done a great job, Angela, of assembling an amazing group of women. So first, thank you for just honoring me, um, giving me the opportunity to be here, and just, to even just be in your presence is always a blessing as well.
Oh, you're so sweet. I love you. Thank you. Okay, so when it comes to career, what's the
Yeah.
best advice you can share?
Yeah, so the acronym I came up with was PURE, Pure, because I think that anytime I talk about career, I could tell you tons of certifications and tons of experiences you can get, but I really think it comes back actually to a point that Trang made, which is really about passion and results. So PURE means P is for passion, U is understanding, R is for results, and then E is for execution. And so when I coach clients and talk to even staff that I have, first of all, you need to ask yourself, what are you really passionate about? Not what your mother said you should do when you grew up, not what your friends said that you're really good at, but what, back to the heart, what is on your heart? What could you stay up and do all night long? What are you really passionate about? And you may need some time to process that, because a lot of times, especially as women, we're not given the space to think about what we want to do or what we're passionate about. We're kind of told what to do. So I would say, number one, sit with yourself, give yourself grace and some space to say, what am I really passionate about? Like, where do I want to spend my time? Um, and then the next piece is sit in it and understand it. Well, why are you passionate about it? So, for instance, I have a soft spot for women, specifically right now, women of color in technology, because that's where I sit. And I hear all of these stories of these women who are going through crazy situations, and there's brokenness, but there's connection there. And there's an opportunity for me to love them and serve them and also tell them they're not crazy. Right. So I understand that passion because I also have walked that walk. Right. So U for understanding. R is results. What do you want the end result to be? What experience do you want? So in your career, do you want to work from home? Do you want to go in the office? Do you need flexibility? If you're a mom, do you need to work in an environment where they provide you flexibility, where you can stop doing what you're doing at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, get in the car and head and go get your kid from school to take them to baseball? Do they provide that flexibility? Do you want to sit in the office every day? Right? What experience do you want to have at work? Do you want to be in a job where you have opportunities to learn and do more diverse things? Or do you want to do the exact same thing every day? What do you want your work experience to be like? Right? Do you want to work for someone, or do you want to be a business owner? Or do you want to do both? So I think you've got to think about, in addition to your passions and getting clear on why you have that passion, what do you want the end result to be? And then the last piece is E, is execute. Because I love us and we're women and we definitely take care of everybody else but ourselves. But you owe it to yourself to have a good career, because we spend a lot of time with people that we work with. It's not the traditional 9 to 5 anymore. I know for tech, especially if we're having production issues, it could be a 12, 14-hour day, right? And if I'm not passionate about the work, I'm not getting any love or joy out of it, it's not meeting my result, it's going to be hard for me to execute. And it's probably going to show up back to a number of things, my health, my attitude. There's not going to be childlike behavior, me, walking through the grass or even eating healthy. I'm going to go to things that's savory and sweet for me, that's comforting to me, versus eating the apple that I should eat. And so when you think in terms of your career, you've got to be pure, right? So just to recap, P for passion, U for understanding, R for results, and then E, you owe it to yourself to execute. So that would be my career advice.
Oh, I love that. That's powerful. Okay, and you have a bonus for everyone?
I do. So the first 5 people that reach out, I will give you a 30-minute coaching session. And we can talk about career, we can talk about life. I am in this interesting season where I call it the panini season, where I have teenager who is going to college, but also aging parents. And then of course the career, as well as my business. And I don't call it the sandwich anymore, because I think we all are being pressed from both sides in this season, especially as we're coming out of COVID. So I look forward to serving you in any capacity that you give me the pleasure to serve you. And again, thank you, Angela, for just creating this platform and bringing these wonderful women together.
Oh, thank you so much, Trina. You're amazing.
You too.
Okay, next up, we have a dynamic duo. We have Alegre Ramos and Natascha Corrigan. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Let's see if we can spotlight you and then bring your slide up. And where's Alegre? There we are. Oh, and they're both wearing yellow. It's so bright and cheery. I love it. Okay, so these amazing ladies are experts in life, right? They're authors of 3 books with actionable, accessible, science-backed content, and they're on a mission to help moms and caregivers prioritize themselves, save time, and accomplish their goals, which is huge. So when it comes to life, what's the best advice you ladies can share?
Well, Trina really set us up perfectly. The segue from her to us is perfect. So thanks for inviting us to be a part of this amazing gathering. When it comes to life, the best advice we can share as moms and caregivers is to find a way to prioritize yourself through self-care.
And self-care is such a big buzzword right now. And it really is more than just mani-pedis and massages, which is wonderful and lovely, but it's about taking the necessary steps to ensure your emotional, physical, and mental well-being on the regular.
Yeah. You're like, when you're on an airplane and the flight attendant comes out and says, be sure to put on your oxygen mask before you help anybody else, right? What they don't say is, because if you're dead in the aisle, you can't actually help anybody.
True.
Right. So as a caregiver, or I love this, the last suggestion, like we're not part of a sandwich generation, we're part of the panini generation because we're getting squeezed. It's so tempting for us to go ahead and put other people first, deplete yourself, give. So when you prioritize yourself, you ensure that your tank is full. And I want to just stress this, a lot of times this idea of like fill your own tank or put the oxygen mask on first so that you're good for everyone else. But really, like, it's okay to pivot that idea into put that oxygen mask on yourself so you're good for you first and foremost, without burning yourself out. Yes, and eventually be available for others.
Yeah, over 2/3 of working parents say that they're burnt out. And if you're a mom or a woman of color, it's an even higher percentage. When we see the hashtag self-care is selfish, we're like, because moms, caregivers, we can't sacrifice ourselves on the altar of our families forever, right? Eventually we have nothing left to give.
So all this talk about self-care, what's our best advice around self-care? One of the simplest ways to incorporate self-care that we find a way to prioritize yourself, your mental health, your physical health, is by developing a morning ritual.
Yeah, I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that my morning ritual keeps me sane because it ensures that I'm fed, I'm hydrated, I get in some movement, I take my supplements, which are no longer a random thing, right? Like I'm in that age where I must take my supplements. It makes sure my morning ritual makes sure that I take care of me.
So if you're thinking, oh my God, I can't possibly squeeze one more thing into my morning, that sounds absolutely insane. I'm not talking about like, Tony Robbins level of morning ritual. That's cool if you've got that, yeah. That's awesome. But if you've found out if you've heard about his morning ritual is crazy town. I mean, it's awesome. Fantastic. Good for you if you can do that. But we're not talking about like that level. We're just talking about really, it's important to go ahead and start with something small. We suggest starting really something small. And instead of thinking about 20 minutes of meditation, what about 1 minute? Right now, personally, I am trying to go ahead and put stretching into my morning routine. I'm starting off with 1 minute of stretching. That's 1 minute more than I've been doing. And if I'm doing that every single day for the rest of the year, that's 365 more minutes than I've been doing before, right? Chances are though, you're going to stretch a little longer than a minute, but start small.
Yeah. And if you're not sure where to start with your morning ritual, we do have a suggestion for you, which is making your bed. we're huge brain science nerds like some of the other speakers, and there's a crazy amount of research that shows that making your bed first thing in the morning has many benefits besides just tidying up your room. It's actually a habit that's called a keystone habit because it trickles out and has other benefits. So it straightens your room, obviously, but it also gives you a little dopamine hit because you have this sense of fulfillment and optimism. You feel more in control of your day. But perhaps most surprising is that the process of unmaking the bed to get into it actually sets you up for a better night of sleep. And don't we all need that?
Seriously. So maybe you're a maker, you're like, okay, cool, I already make my bed. Good for you. So you want to ask yourself, what can you do to support yourself to get the day off on the right foot? Maybe you want to drink more water. Put a glass of water by your bedside the night before, if possible. Like I said before, maybe you want to, grab 1 minute of meditation, 2 minutes of meditation, small little things that you wedge in. And if you can incorporate that with something you're already doing, all the better. If you can hook something up into, like, you already brush your teeth every morning, what can you kind of tie into that you should be doing? Like, maybe you're not super great about putting on the sunscreen every day. What if you hook that into
flossing?
Flossing, right? Yeah. So these small moments build upon each other and signal for you that this time is for me. So while I love drinking my pint of water in the morning because I'm thinking to myself, this is for me. And it's really mostly a mental approach, and of course I'm getting hydrated too, but it's just that little moment where I take it for me and prioritize myself at the beginning of the day.
And we can tell you from personal experience that not only does your morning ritual keep you, fed, hydrated, and more supple, it also makes a big mental difference, because when you have these things that you want to do but aren't doing, they keep like kind of popping up in your head like whack-a-mole, right? Like, did you take your supplements? Did you drink? Did you move? Did you do this? Did you do that? When you do all those things first thing in the morning, you'll find that your brain is so much quieter and you can be more focused and present for the rest of your day.
Yeah. And again, I can't stress that, keep it simple. We're not about like put more on your plate. You don't have to suddenly carve out an extra hour in the morning. You want to get up earlier, great, but you could start with something really simple. Tim Ferriss, the author of the 4-Hour Workweek, he loves to invite us to ask the question, if there's a simple way to do this, what would it be? So a lot of times we can overcomplicate. I know me, like I was like, morning routine. Okay, I want to put 18,000 things into my morning, right? Work out before the kids get up. Like, just keep it simple and really great for you, because self-care can be simple and it's really important.
Yeah, we like to say self-care is healthcare.
And taking care of yourself first, prioritizing yourself first, is not selfish. Not only does it make you more available for others, but more importantly, want you to know that you're worth taking care of.
Love that. This is definitely a dynamic duo. You guys from every angle. That was awesome. And you have a bonus for people, right?
We do. So we actually have a book called Rock Your Morning, which is all about creating a morning ritual. However, we know, again, brain science nerds, we know some people like to read, some people like to watch. We have a free video series for you. So if you sign up for the video series, you'll get 1 video a day. Each video is only 2 minutes long, and you'll get it 3 days in a row, all about helping you to create your morning ritual. And we don't tell you what to put in your ritual. We just talk to you about how to create one.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So definitely get everybody off on the right foot.
Yes.
Having us, Angela. We're so pleased to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. Okay. And you guys did an excellent job at wrapping up the speed advice session. So we're going to segue into Q&A. So if you guys have any questions in the audience, please put them in the chat, or please raise your hand and we will be happy to answer your questions. And I also have some questions that were sent to me prior to this. So either way, we have some questions for you guys, because you guys are full of so much wisdom. So I will actually start it off. First question, this will be for Lisa. Lisa, where are you? So first question for you is, why is humor a serious business? Can you unmute, Lisa? There you go.
I was struggling with it. Why is humor a serious business? Because humor is actually necessary. And first of all, I want to thank all the speakers. I have been scrambling, taking notes. Already got my book from, gotta look at names, from Dionne, and don't miss out on her awesome cookbook and everybody's freebies. Thank you so much. Humor is a serious business because there's a health in humor. There's a connectivity in humor. And so when we laugh, it actually, and now you're going to think about this later, it demands your focus. You could not be hearing a joke and you know that someone's setting up a joke. You have to be there. You can't be doing this thing or watching over here. It demands your focus. So that's one. It also raises your endorphins. It lowers your blood pressure, and it releases nature's serotonin. So that we can crawl into our bed that we made this morning. I love that. So there is the connectivity of humor. And join me on Facebook. I do serious selfies with strangers. It was just this goofy thing I started. I'll approach a stranger. I dare myself. I'm an improv ninja. Walk up and say, hey, can we get a picture together? Sure. I've never been turned down. And then I raise up my cell phone and I go, oh, wait, don't smile. And so you're like this. That's silly. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. And by the way, trying to be a straight face makes you laugh. So try that with your friends and family later. Try and get a serious selfie. Send it to me. What happened from doing that dare to myself? I ended up making connections by being engaged with another human, by getting my face out of my phone, by paying attention to things around me. I accidentally have friends from 8 years ago from doing serious selfies. So I dare you all to do a serious selfie later. Remember, more punchlines, less headlines. Look up your favorite show bloopers and laugh yourself healthy. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Phyllis Lipford agrees with you. She said laughter is good medicine, and she quoted a scripture.
Oh, thank you. Wonderful.
That's awesome. Okay, let's see. And I have a question for Tiffany. Where's Tiffany? There you are. Why? So you wrote so many books, right? Why did you start? Like, what made you start writing for children?
So, as I've said, I'm trying to make sure it stays succinct. So I first wrote my very first book, Andrew Learns About Actors, as like a legacy thing, a bucket list thing, something to do with my son. We both enjoy reading. We both enjoy TV. We both enjoy interacting with the TV. And it just got me thinking, like, while I understand that these are actors, does he, who was 4 at the time, understand that actors and characters are different? And so that kind of started me on the journey of writing Andrew Learns About Actors. And it really became, I guess, relevant when Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther, passed away, to explain the difference between actors and the characters that they play. Okay, so that was my voyage into becoming a published author. Shortly after that, I released Andrew Learns About Teachers, which was about teachers, and a true ode to teachers because it was released during the pandemic, and my husband and my mom are educators, and to see them having to pivot during that period was just like, we need to show people that, one, they're also unsung heroes, and our kids need to know that, yes, teachers, you see them every day in your classroom, but this is something you can aspire to be, especially like our young Black boys. So as I'm putting Andrew Learns About Teachers onto my son's bookshelf, I start thinking, and I have like these statistics about how there's not really diverse children's books. So I'm like, you know what? His bookshelf is kind of lacking diversity. Like, what he has on it is pretty much Andrew Learns About Actors and Andrew Learns About Teachers. So at that point, I knew that I could do something, and I did something. So I started publishing more books. That kind of just started me on the road to publishing more books. And so I went from 2 books within the span of 6 months to 10 books within the span of 8 months to 20 books within the span of 2.5 years. Yeah, and it was just because I want our kids to be able to see themselves. My mission is to inspire, educate, and normalize our Black children. I'm hoping that by being able to show Black readers and non-Black readers our kids in normal everyday situations or in spaces where they have historically been absent, including literature, including workplaces, that everyone can see that our kids, especially our Black boys, are just like your kids. So protect our kids like you protect yours. And so yeah, that's how I ended where we are today.
I love that. It's definitely a need for that. That's yeah, you're doing like a service, public service. Dionne, there's a question for you in the chat. Irene Lyons would like to know, can you explain more about eating for your blood type?
Yes. So, there is a book called, I believe, Four Diets for Blood Types, but I was introduced to this, like I said, my grandmother was ahead of her time. We were the family with the wheat germ and the water distiller in the basement. So she began to realize that when we ate certain things, it triggered irritation or skin irritation or inflammation in our bodies. And she started like studying us, not like lab rats, but she started taking food away and noticing, and just she did her own experimenting basically to find out what happened. I mean, to find out. And she realized about 6 months that, okay, your blood type is different than your brother, and you can eat this and he can't. So basically, what it is there are different blood types, A, O, AB. We're not going to worry about all the negatives and positives at the moment, but certain foods act like poison to certain blood types. They're beneficial to others, and there are neutral foods. So I'm an O, and I'm quote unquote supposed to be a carnivore. I wasn't raised one, so that's interesting. But if I eat something that's against my blood type, like I love avocados. I was raised in California. When I was younger, my body could fight it off. But as I'm getting a little more seasoned, it can't. And as soon as I eat it, my nose starts running. I can feel joint discomfort. So there is a science behind eating for your blood type. And it's I do a bioscan. We can definitely talk offline, Irene, but definitely it has really changed my life. Like I said, my grandmother taught it to me. It didn't have a name. It was just, she said, this is making you sick and we need to find out why. And down the road, we found out that it was actually science behind it. So yeah, eating for your blood type is science-based. Thank you to the two fabulous ladies with the roses. Yes, science-based. I believe in science-based as well. So definitely. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's a whole nother dissertation.
Yeah, that's actually really informative. There are a lot of people who haven't never heard of the blood type, being affected by what you eat or vice versa. So that's amazing. That's good to know. Let's see. I think we have a question for Beth. Beth, how does one identify their triggers?
Great question. Usually it's with an emotion. So anytime you're feeling an emotion that you don't like, well, you know what? You can be triggered happy to feel happy as well. You can be triggered to feel a good emotion. But usually when we talk about triggers, it's an unwanted emotion, anger, fear, jealousy, those types of emotions. And we recognize the emotion, we don't like it. So it's what we do next with it. And if we're acting in a way that's what I would say inauthentic, like you get mad, sad's okay, actually. Most of the time sad's okay. But if you're acting in a way that's gonna derail part of your day, or it's gonna linger longer than, I don't want to say should, but for lack of time, we can say should, that means you're being triggered. And usually we're triggered because of a couple of things. It's usually maybe past trauma, it could be our inner child, it could be pain or wounds, especially with your partner, if you're so annoyed with them and once again not helping you put the kids to bed. Those are things that will often trigger us. Our partner's words, their actions, their lack of actions is what triggers us. So yeah, emotions are powerful. And I work with clients, they don't even sometimes know how they feel. They just don't like the way their body feels and they can't name it. So we always have to label the emotion. It's just knowing like the way you feel.
Great. Thank you so much. I did have a question. Let's see. Trang, this one came in for you. If I could go back in time, if you could go back in time, what's the one thing that you would tell your 18-year-old self?
The one thing that I'd tell my 18-year-old self is, it will be okay. And I know this sounds so cliche, but the reason why I would say this is because she had this set vision for her future, this set idea that she was going to go down this path, become this, and that was it. But there's more than one way to be okay, Like this one vision is just this story that you've become attached to. It's just one pathway. But there are an infinite amount of pathways you could go down, and you will be okay and happy in more than one pathway. You know, people have this habit of labeling certain things as being right and other things as wrong, or people will label something as, oh, this will make you happy, but you might regret doing that. But really, there's so many ways that you can be happy and be okay. So allow that fluidity in your life and allow yourself to live this one lifetime, but with multiple lifetimes within it. Because why not? Why not have multiple lifetimes and experience all the different chapters that you can with this one human experience, and just soak it up as much as you can. You'll be okay. You'll make it okay.
Love it. Thank you so much. Trina, founder of Tech Care. Can you share the most impactful memory you can think of as a result of starting your Tech Care group?
Oh my goodness. The one that comes to mind that is sad, but still was a blessing to be in this experience was I had a client call me, and she had been dealing with a lot of microaggressions and, quite frankly, abuse at her job. And, a lot of times we talk about aggressions, but the reality is almost like death by 1,000 cuts every day. If someone is telling you you're not good enough, or they're constantly questioning your background, or putting you in situations where you have glass cliff assignments, so they kind of set you up to fail and not give you the resources that you need in order for you to be successful. On top of a number of the things that a number of these women have already talked about, life is always lifing. She reached out to me and was in tears, and at the time was contemplating suicide. And I was honored to be able to just sit in that space and give her space to process, because a lot of us are very strong women, and people expect for us not to be human. They expect for us to just suck it up, move on, right? Not take care of ourselves, as the ladies talked about. But giving her the space to process without judgment, and then partnering with her on, this is what we need to do to get you out, because your life is more and worth more than a job.
Wow.
Your life is worth more than a job. So I would say that to me was really the key for me to say, yes, I know I'm in the right place, because we have women's lives in the balance. It's not just Black women. It's not just Asian women. I mean, it's all of us, because one of us commits suicide due to a work environment situation, that could have easily have been us. Yeah. Right? And so I don't want to lose another woman who has greatness inside of her, but the wrong environment is stripping her of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful. I'm glad you repeated, what you said like multiple times, because someone used to tell me, don't stress out so much at work, because if something happens to you, you will be you'll have someone in your seat the next day to cover you. So yeah. So I love that. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I did have a question for the dynamic duo. Why do you say self-care is healthcare?
Well, it's interesting because there was a wonderful article in Prevention Magazine about how this move away from self-care as this idea of the mani-pedis, and really realizing that, we're our own first line of defense. No one can do self-care for you, just like no one can exercise for you. I mean, hey, we'd all like someone to exercise for us, right? No one can eat your greens for you. No one can drink your water for you. You're the only one who can do that. And, just to kind of tie up what everyone else was saying, like, you need to exercise now for your 80-year-old self. You need to eat now for your 80-year-old self. Healthcare, right? There's a saying that is good food is, and probably someone can finish this for me. It's food is medicine, and if you eat good food, you won't need medicine. If you eat bad food, medicine won't help. And that's the same thing. Like if you don't sleep enough, if you don't exercise, if you don't take care of your mental well-being, the doctors aren't going to help.
Yeah, it's on the level of it, taking it off the level of like a luxury and putting it on something as prioritized or as important as healthcare, right? Healthcare, like this preventative, we have a different kind of like health system in this country where it's a lot of like, you know, kind of showing up and triaging as opposed to preventative. And this is self-care is, you know, taking care, like Alegre said earlier, her morning routine helps her stay sane, you know. And I think that I personally used to relate to self-care as, like we said before, like a luxury, or like every once in a while going out and hanging out with my girlfriends and going ahead and you know, doing something like a mani-pedi, right? As opposed to, it's really shifted over the last few years to like, this is actually necessary. And this idea of like paying myself last is not working out for anybody, because I am like, you know, I'm stressed out, I'm frazzled with my kids and in my work life if I'm not taking care of myself. So it really is, it's on that front end of prevention and healthcare. It's that important. It's not a luxury.
Yeah, I think that's so easy. That's easy to forget, because a lot of times people think self-care is being selfish and that's a bad thing, when you actually have to be selfish so that you're the foundation, you know, to take care of what you need to take care of, because no one else is going to take care of yourself as well as you can. So I love that. Thank you, ladies, so much. If you could, let's see, I don't know if you're able to unmute yourself. Are you able to unmute yourselves? You cannot. Admin, can you unmute everyone? Okay. Speed round. If you can think of one word to describe women or anything to motivate or encourage, what would you say? Dionne.
Warrior.
Lisa.
Brave.
Trina.
Powerful.
Trang.
I was going to say powerful. I will say loving.
Natascha.
Resilient.
Alegre.
Creative.
Tiffany.
Resilience. That was my whole thing. Leader.
And Beth.
Intuitive.
Okay. So that wraps it up for us tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us. Speakers, you guys, I already said you were amazing in the beginning, and you just like surpassed that tenfold. I appreciate you so much. Thank you guys for being so like present and heart focused and really sharing your wisdom with everybody so graciously.
Thank you for leading us. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Angela, for
Amazing.
convening this. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Good night. Have a
you
good
so
night.
much. Bye. Thank you, Angela.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Unmakeup and make up that bed.
Oh, I know.
Yes, make the bed.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.